And like the moderator said, and recycling and reuse is a very important resource supplement and of PGM and the precious metals. So that's what I'm going to share with you from the recycling perspective. And this is under the disclaimer, just have a brief look. Okay, so we are going to deliver the speech by the following 5 parts. Of course, due to the time, we basically don't make a very long speech. And if you have any further questions, you can come to me in private. So first of all, have a look of the recycling and supply. Actually, and you can see the recycling and the supply of China's PGM basically rely on imports and recycling. So that's why recycling is very important to the industry in China. And for the platinum market supply, the mine output and recycling do not play a very big portion. So if we take the statistics of last year and we still focus on the import, in last year, so the total imports accounted 87% of the overall supply. Of course, and I'm going to share more about the outlook in the future. And the palladium imports basically accounted for 60% in year 2024. And the mine produce the palladium from the mines accounted 7.57% of the supply last year, and recycling accounted for almost 40%. You can see the recycling volume of palladium has been increased very fast. And China recycled 39.1 tons of PGM in 2024. You can see these columns. You can see the volume of year 2023 was still very low. The main reason was because in the second half of 2023, we basically stopped the recycling of the ternary catalyst. And in year 2024, and we recovered recycling of the ternary catalyst. So that's why you can see there was a huge growth of the recycling volume for 24 compared with the 23. The growth was very huge due to the recycling of palladium, and the recycling of platinum also increased a lot compared with 2023. Of course, and the recycling of this volume includes different metals, including the rhodium and the iridium and ruthenium. This is our forecast of the future. So it is expected that recycling volume is to experience exponential growth after year 2023, primarily driven by the accelerated recovery of the spent ternary catalysts. With the government's trading policy, we believe and this growth will exceed our previous forecast by 10 to 15%. Our association is also doing some work, and we are going to drag more recycling. We are going to promote more consumption. So that's why we forecast recycling of PGM of China in year 2028, and the total volume for recycling will be 72 tons, so which is another 10 to 15% growth. Of course, due to the fast growth of BEV, and we can clearly see that, and the recycling and the growth and will slow down in year 2031. Of course, the China B emission standard. So you can see there's 30% higher PGM loading. So you can see that the loading is decreasing. So that's why we give like 30% and as a benchmark. So that's why, and this spent catalysts will go to the recycling market. So that's why expected that there will be a rebound of 2032, and in total it is expected to have a total volume of 87 tons. And you can see this data and of the China's precious metal recycling data. In the industrial sector, I'm going to emphasize this is in the industrial sector, and the traditional jewelries and from the community and from the public are not including here. And have a look at the consumption analysis. Of course, and we use the Zhongxinwan Force data, and you can see according to the consumption regions throughout the whole world, and Europe, Japan, North America, and China are the main consumption area. And for platinum and palladium, China is one of the biggest consuming country of platinum and palladium, accounted 29% of the total platinum consumption and 21% of total palladium consumption. And you can see from chart that the using volume of palladium is actually decreasing. So originally, and we counted for 30% of the total consumption whole world, but for now only 21% due to the growth of the BEV. And this is about the PGM consumption. So same with the previous chart. And you can see that in year 2024, the total consumption of platinum is 66.1 tons, including the investment for bars and jewelries, and the consumption of palladium was 58.9 tons. So that's why in general, you can see the need, the demand, and for PGM has been decreasing. So that's why, and we will get together with a lot of the member enterprises and government department, and we actively drag and increase, promote the consumption for PGM. And have a look of the consumption structure, just have a rough look. And basically, this data are from Zhongxinwan Feng. So the data are very consistent to our own data. And you can still see that platinum basically is applied in 2 glasses. So you can see there's the increase of the application in glasses. However, the consumption in the other areas are decreasing. The application of palladium is mainly in the vehicle exhaust catalyst. Of course, the application also dropped a lot. However, based on our understandings from the channels, so in oil refining and industrial or chemical industry, the consumption of palladium will grow. And the growth is much higher in the future. So because some of the chemical factories and will start to operate, and we could forecast the huge growth of the consumption of palladium. Of course, we are very much looking forward to see that result. And this is about automobile. And you can see, although BEV and is growing and very fast, however, plug-in, the hybrid plug-in, is also increasing a lot. In year 2024, basically, and the plug-in already accounted 40% of total new energy vehicles. So that's why, of course, we expect, we wish, and there's a continuous growth and for plug hybrid. And I ask a lot of our colleagues and people in the industry will definitely switch to the plug-in. So that's why we wanted to promote this industry. And the demand from fiberglasses, according to the Fiberglass Association, we did some analysis of the data. So if there's 1 million output increased in the bushings in the glass fiber, so there will be 10 tons platinum needed in this industry. In the industry, and there's some damage and the lifetime of the bushings, and then there will be some platinum fill in, of course. And we see the price of the platinum is going up quickly recently. And we also talked to you on the major research institutions throughout the whole world, and we also did some analysis. So basically, and from the supply and demand perspective, we could see that the supply of the platinum is huge in year 2024, and we can see that the supply of platinum in the traditional industry, including 119 tons, including recycling and imports. And the industrial demand is over 66 tons. So this 66 tons includes the investment in the jewelries. So that's why in the new material industry, we still need the breakthrough and innovation. We also need to be led by the policies and in the industry and to promote the consumption of platinum and palladium. Of course, by now, we still wish we could get more portion from investment and jewelries. And we can see outside this conference room, we see a lot of booths. And for me, right, I never wear ring. In order to promote consumption of platinum, I actually bought a platinum ring from the booth outside. Okay, so the price of palladium is different from the price trend of platinum. So you can see in the recent 5 years, and the palladium price is increasing. The highest point is $3,000 per ounce. For now, it has dropped to $1,100 per ounce. And with the going up of the platinum price, and the palladium price is going up to $1,160 per ounce, of course. And we can see there's a downward of the rhodium price, but recently we have noticed that the rhodium price is going up. I'm going to talk about the industry policies. And I also said in year 2023, for some while, we stopped the recycling of the waste of the spent ternary catalyst. Why we didn't fully recycle and the catalyst? Because the collectors, they don't have the certificate and for collection. We talked to the Ministry of Environment, and in the beginning they recommended the small and the mini enterprises to recycle. However, so for these small companies, they could only recycle 10 tons per year. Then they will need to have the networking more than 1,000. And we also wanted to share the same collection station together with the batteries. However, you can see our raw materials, the prices are very high, so we are worried about maybe some robbery and theft or something. So that's why, and we talked to the Ministry and the Bureau and of the Environment Protection. We talked to them actively, so we really wanted this problem to be sorted out urgently. And another problem is that so for the collection company, they are not willing to have the 3% VAT invoicing. So because the 3% invoicing and is included in the reverse invoicing. So because a lot of the wasted metals, they could not have the invoicing. So a lot of the companies, they started to have the reverse invoicing. And we talked to the tax bureau. We told them that the tax is too high and our profits are too low. However, you can see the product, these metals, the value is very high, the price are high. So the state government, they worried that for some other industries outside of the precious metal, they took the advantage of this low tax of our industry, because there are some cases there used to be a leather company, they invoicing and buy precious metals because we applied a very low tax. Because we applied for 2 per 1,000 this kind of the tax. However, this tax is very low, so they didn't agree. So we could sort out the tax issue. However, the reverse invoicing and is very difficult to execute. And for the natural person per year, they only have the quota of 5 million. But for those who are in the spent tertiary catalyst company, 3 million is the upper limit. So for 5 million, this kind of uplift, we needed to gather 2,000 to 3,000 natural person to reach this amount. And there are also some issues and of the individual tax of the natural person. So there are a lot of the complicated issues included. Last year, I also mentioned that this reverse invoicing. So in the future, it is not allowed to have this blank note or something by the end of this year. Reverse invoicing must be adopted. You cannot use your self-made certificate or something. Trading was a very important policy proposed last year. And we can clearly see that the state government, the fiscal department, and they have the subsidies of the trading and for 10 to 15%. And we talk to the relevant parties and the 6 major member enterprises. So they are in the vehicle catalyst industry. We talked to them, and we wish we could put the spent ternary catalyst into the trading list, because for now only the completed vehicle is included in the list. And I also talked to the person from in charge of this area and from the Ministry of the department. However, so it's related to the other industries and other departments. So if we can really do this, and then we could hugely increase and the recycling resources, and the consumption of palladium and platinum will be increased hugely. Okay, so last year we joined the state tax bureau's seminar, and actually I would say the launch of this reverse invoicing was in a rush, just only within 20 days, and reverse invoicing, this policy was launched. So the code of precious metal is very high. The code of the precious metal is very long, so we just make it short. Just have a brief look of this. And another one is about the policies of the platinum import VAT refund. A lot of the companies, they wish they import a platinum within the rule, including the powder and some alloy and some other materials. So actually, so there's a rule that so there's a kind of exemption and of the imported platinum. So if this imported platinum did not pass the sales and of the Shanghai Golden Exchange, and then they cannot enjoy the VAT refund. So the amount is huge, maybe more than tens of millions of volume. So that's why for the import of the platinum, so the companies need to pay more attention to that.
We also know something about the products for from recycled materials. There is the 30% of rebate of VAT or 30% of VAT refund. However, as to its implementation and enforcement, there are still ambiguities because relevant taxation administrations already talked to some of the companies asking if the previous practice of VAT refund violated relevant laws and rules. But in actual reality, we applied for such refund strictly according to the law. Currently, there are 2 pathways to get VAT refund, and the second pathway is processing, which is the predominant pathway. However, the taxation administration think that the processing is not part of the scope that can be given such refund. And there are some local government subsidies, but it's not easy for us to identify whether or to make a conclusion whether such subsidies have been cancelled or not. Mainly, I'm talking about companies based in provinces like Hunan and Jiangxi. There is another thing that concerns us as well: environmental policy, restricted cross-provincial transfer of hazardous waste and long approval process. And this becomes even more important. In the past, together with all of our member companies, we managed to address this issue, and there was some circular issued by the Ministry of Environmental Protection and Ecology restricting any administrative barriers established by any provinces or any geography. However, in practice, Guangdong and Liaoning, the two provinces of Guangdong and Liaoning, forbid you from transferring the material out of their province, putting themselves at the risk of being punished by the ministry. However, they continue to do it. So this is something that is beyond the capability of the Ministry of Environmental Protection and Ecology. In other words, even if you participate in the auction of waste material in some province, you cannot transfer it out of that province because you do not get provincial approval. So that's about the environmental issue. And as I mentioned, it also concerns the recycling of TWC. Lastly, I would like to give you a brief introduction of China Precious Metal Industry Committee. We will be celebrating our 19th anniversary, and 85% of the recycling and refinery companies are our members. 70% of the CRRA company are also our members, including some of the big names like China CNPC and PetroChina, which means that we do have a strong position. But over the past 2 years, because of the severe expansion of production capacity, waste materials are too insufficient to be given to everyone, which leads to competition. And after such competition, there is almost a zero margin. So on the 18th of June, in the Precious Metal Industry Symposium, working together with the PGM subcommittee of China Non-Ferrous Metal Association, we have invited the 6 leading companies, the companies who are also engaged in the most fierce competition, including Guiyan and Haotong, and other names, as well as BASF, and representatives from several associations standing behind as witness. So 7+ witnesses from various associations. There was this signing ceremony, but signing is only a signature or its gesture. But we also have taken a couple of practical measures. For example, we have established the minimum processing price, or we have established the minimum processing price tag. If, say, any company offers their processing service below that minimum, that means that they do not compete in a fair way. And some companies, despite our advocation or despite our suggestion, continue to submit their tender below the minimum price, which actually got themselves disqualified during the first round. As a result, ensuring certain amount of profit margin for players in the recycling field, what we have done contribute to their profit margin. In particular, when it comes to TWC, because the recycling ratio is really high. CPMIC work in progress. We are working to contribute to or facilitate the listing of platinum and palladium futures, so as to fill in the vacuum in China. As you have heard yourself that Guangzhou Futures Exchange is ready to list the 2 futures products. We worked together with them from day one, and we helped them a lot, including helping them find testing institutions, doing a testing result analysis, helping them with market investigation. We helped them a lot along the way. We are also working on finding innovative applications for PGM products to boost domestic demand in China. I've covered a couple of areas of demand, and I've covered a couple of application scenarios, but we do want more innovations in order to further boost the demand for platinum and palladium, including the ring I just mentioned. It is one type of innovation. We also provide policy suggestions specifically covering the recycling of waste, TWC, in a compliant way, trading policies to boost the consumption of PGM, tax policies regarding recycling, and the importing of PGM containing waste materials. We are working in all these areas. In addition to that, we are the organizer. We initiated the global Palladium Innovation Application Competition. This is a global competition that we have officially kicked off. We offer very generous award, and we encourage active participation from universities, scientists, researchers, engineers, analysts, and startups. We have 6 specific categories of awards, and the total award value amounts to $350,000. But if you are interested, you can find more details on the official website. The purpose of hosting this contest is to boost the consumption of PGM. From 2019 to 2022, annual consumption stood above 180 tons, and the number has dropped to 150 now. That means it requires collective efforts from all of you, with innovation, with administrative means, boosting in a joint way the consumption and demand of PGM. Thank you very much.